Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
The Online Success Journey continues with episode 317. Every guest shares the path that took them to success. So you'll want to subscribe right now and ensure you'll never miss a journey. I post at least one journey each week and I would love for you to join me. Joining us today is Joy Clausen Soto, a keynote speaker, TEDx speaker, dolphin trainer, author, director, and a cancer survivor who inspires audience with her story of perseverance. Hello, Joy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. My audience are excited to hear your story, but just start by telling us one thing we are going to learn from you today that will help us on our journey.
One thing I would say is to remember gratitude, because gratitude is so important when you're in a bad place and just trying to find a way to get out of that place to succeed. If you start looking for things to be grateful for in your life, and sometimes it can be hard, but there's always something to be grateful for. If you start looking for those and finding them and then going through them every day, it actually helps change your perspective and it helps put you into a better place to succeed and to find different options, for your life or for your success that you're looking for. And I know that that's been a big part of my life is gratitude and just changing that perspective of not focusing on the negative, but focusing on the positive. And that will really gear you up for success.
I can't wait to hear more about that. But let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my audience a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own business?
Sure. I have done a lot of different things. I was a dolphin trainer for a while, and I've been a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker. I'm an author now. I just published a book called Joy, the story of a dolphin trainer, filmmaker, and cancer survivor. And I'm a TEDx speaker. So that's kind of makes up my journey in life and what I've done.
Wow, what a background, Joy. But why do you do what you do?
Oh, I give speeches. I just give inspirational speeches.
Why?
Oh, why? Because I want to give people hope. Hope is the most powerful emotion that we have. I keep thinking about this. I'll just sit there in the quietness of, the quiet time with myself and thinking, what can I do while I'm still here? And what I want to do is give people hope and just put more light into the world and more goodness and inspire people. Because I think that people get to a point in life where they think, well, I can't do that. And, there's successful people over there, but I can't do that. I can't make it there. But if you don't give up and you keep trying, you can get there. So I just want to share my story. And I'm also a cancer survivor, which is huge. And just to give people hope that you can make it to the other side and you can attain your goals. You just need to keep going and not give up and persevere.
How do you know you are successful?
How do I know? Because I've received messages from hundreds of people telling me how much my story has affected them, and they're sharing my story with other people to help them. So by that, I know that I'm successful as long as I'm helping other people, and there's an effect that is being felt, for not just for the person that I know or who has reached out to me, but they're sharing that with other people. Then I know that I'm doing my job and I'm making a difference, and I'm giving people hope.
What made you decide to make a documentary on yourself when you were diagnosed with cancer?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I had just left my job as a dolphin trainer and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I'd always loved film, movies. My dad, whenever I'd see my dad, because my parents were divorced when I was young, whenever I'd go to see him, those weekends, we would go see a movie. So that was always a really big deal for me, was to go see a movie with my dad. And he was he was a broadcaster. So he would be the person saying, next on Channel 7, the A-Team, that kind of a thing. And so I was just kind of used to growing up with that. And I always had a love for it. My dad gave me a video camera and I started filming things and then editing it together. And I found myself at my dream job of working with dolphins and just thinking again and again about filmmaking and how to edit something. And it was really all I could think about because I just had this passion for it. So I went to film school And I was just about 3 months into film school when I started to get really tired. And one day I had this cough. It was actually on Thanksgiving. So I had this cough that was getting worse instead of better. And I remember I walked into my uncle's house for Thanksgiving and I put my hand on my throat. And that's when I felt a lump. And then that's pretty much when everything started to go and fast forward. And I discovered that I had cancer. It was stage 2 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I asked the doctors what would happen if I didn't do chemotherapy, because of course I didn't want to do that. And they told me that I would be dead within the year. So that started my journey of, fighting for my life. But when that happened, because I was going to film school, I talked to my school and I told them, hey, listen, I'm going to be going through some very intense chemotherapy. I'm going to be very tired, so I can't go out and do all the film shoots that are very labor intensive, but I want to go to class still and still learn. And they told me no, which I thought was crazy. Like, why would you say no to a person who wants to learn still and who is faced with cancer? But they did. They told me no. And I remember just sitting there in my car afterwards, and it was super quiet. And I was just, hearing my own heartbeat and trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And that's when I decided to, come up with something else, and that film school didn't have control over my future. I had control over my future. So I decided to make a documentary on myself with the hope of showing a story of survival, because I wanted to give people hope. All of the movies I saw out there showed people who died in the end, and that does happen. But there are also millions and millions and millions of survivors out there, and those stories you don't hear as often. So that was the story I wanted to show. But the other part of it was by doing a documentary on myself, I could still learn about filmmaking. And so that was my goal, was to not let film school end my journey as a filmmaker, but to continue it in some way. And that's why I decided to make a documentary on myself.
That is very hard for some people. When you heard that you only have 1 year to live, what did you do? Who helped you?
I mean, you just go through all these different emotions. Actually, I had one person, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. I had one person who actually, I left a message for him. It was my boyfriend. I left a message for him, and I let him know that I had cancer, and he simply didn't call me back. In fact, he never called me back. And there was one time when, so this was Thursday, right? I left a message on Thanksgiving. So that was Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I find out that it's stage 2. I definitely have cancer. I'm going in for an operation in a couple days. And so I tried to call him again, but this time I called from my aunt's phone, which happened to be unlisted. And he picked up. So I said, hi, it's Joy. And he hung up on me. And I have to tell you, I was incredibly angry at that point in time. I was so angry that he had done that, and that any human being would do that to another person. And I knew that I had to change the way I thought about what was going on. And that's when I remembered listening to this motivational speaker named Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar had told a story about going to the airport, and he was so excited to go home only to find out that his flight had been canceled. And instead of having, the normal reaction that any one of us would have of being upset or angry, he didn't have that reaction at all. He simply said, fantastic. And he came up with all of the reasons why it was good that his flight wasn't taking off. There could be something wrong with that plane, with the people flying that plane, with the weather that plane will be flying in. And he said, if that's the case, I don't want to be up there. I want to be right down here. Fantastic. And I love that story. It's just a fantastic story because it shows you that you have control over how you think about things. So even if something happens and it's something little like your flight being canceled, you have control over how you respond to that situation. So when I was really upset because this person hung up on me, I remembered Zig Ziglar, and I started thinking, okay, if Zig can do that with his flight being canceled, I can do that with cancer. And I started thinking of all of the reasons why it was good that I had been diagnosed with cancer. They found it at stage 2. I can be treated now because they know. And I felt this flood of love for my friends and family that I had never experienced before in my life. So I started looking at all those good things in my life. And so kind of that's where I went with that when I found out. But I had a lot of friends and family that stepped up and supported me and, came up. They'd drive hours to see me and spend time with me. So I had a really positive reaction from pretty much everyone except for the one person I was expecting to be there wasn't there. And I think that's what happens in life. I think a lot of us experience that, where we expect someone to be there for a certain thing that might happen to us, and then they're not there. But if you look around, there's usually other people that will kind of rise to the occasion and be there with you. So I've just realized that happens in life, and just to, go with it.
Other people would be wondering, how long were you with your boyfriend?
Great question. I was with him for a few months. I met him at film school. Yeah, it wasn't that long, but still, come on.
That is one person in the world who's just not a human being, I guess. Sorry.
I wrote about it in my book, and I said, because there was someone who actually warned me before I started dating him, saying, that guy's not the greatest guy, stay away from him. And I was like, okay, I'll start dating him now. I started dating him. And so in my book, I write that, I'm grateful that I found out who this person is. I'm not with him anymore. Cause can you imagine if I'd been with him for years and then something, horrible happens and he leaves, then that'd be even more, horrifying to happen. But I talk in my book about, thank you, God, for letting me know. And then God says to me, in my mind, he says to me, well, I tried to tell you before. I sent that person to tell you shouldn't date him, but I had to go up a level, and you're welcome.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes we don't listen. No, we just I want to try it myself.
I know.
Thank you for sharing. What life lessons can you share with our listeners that you have learned?
The life lessons I've learned is it's really powerful to set goals and to visualize. Gratitude. So I have three things really. It's visualization, gratitude, and perseverance. And for me, I learned that visualization is really important because you need to have a goal set in order to get there. And it's easy to keep working towards something, but if you don't have that goal set, then you're just wandering around. You don't have a direction. So to set that goal, and the visualization part is tremendous. I've seen how visualization works with me, because when I went to take the swim test to get a job as a dolphin trainer, it was this very difficult test. I tried doing it the morning, the day before. I tried taking this test and I didn't even come close to passing it. It was really horrible. And I still got on a plane for some reason. I flew out from Chicago to San Diego. And I was trying to pass this test, but because I couldn't physically practice, I used my mind and I visualized holding my breath, because one part of the test that's, I'd say, the most difficult is holding your breath for 120 feet underwater with one breath of air. So I just visualized it again and again. I visualized wanting to give up, but not giving up, because there's so many times where I was practicing and I'd want to give up, and I actually would. So I had to visualize, no, you push through when you feel like that. And I also visualized going down to the bottom, which is 26 feet deep, and touching the bottom. And I was somehow able to actually pass that test. And I really attribute that to the visualization. So I think that is a really, really important part of your life, is visualizing where you want to be and what you want to do and how you can overcome those obstacles. And actually, I read this study about how athletes, the ones that did more visualization, were more successful. So, they had people who did 25% physical activity and 75% visualization, 50-50. And I think, the opposite. And the people who did the most visualization did the best in those physical tasks. So it really is incredible how powerful visualization is. The other thing is the gratitude I talked about, because you can be in a bad place, but if you have that gratitude, it helps shift the way you're looking at things. And then you can take steps from there. Because when you're, stuck in the muck of, things aren't working out, or there's a pandemic or whatever is going on in your life, it's hard to get out of that. But if you start looking at, okay, well, I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have my children. I'm grateful for these things in my life. It really starts to change your perspective. And then from there, it helps you to go on to accomplish things and to figure out how you're going to accomplish things and move on from there. And the last one is perseverance. There are so many people who are successful out there who persevere. And when I say that, I mean, they keep trying and they don't give up. You see that all the time with these successful people where, we look at the successes, but we don't realize how many times they failed before that. So there was tons of failure that came, and then finally they succeeded. And so I think the world looks at those people and they think it's just, well, they're lucky and they succeeded and, something must be going right with them. Well, but they failed a bunch of times too. So don't forget how important it is. Just keep going and to persevere in the face of this, and just to set your eyes on that goal you have and to not give up. find a way, just find a way. I've had so many things in my life happen where it's not the way I envisioned it, but I was still able to find another way, like there's a window on the side of that house. Okay, I'll go in that way, instead of the front door that I wanted to go in. So you just find a different way to get there, but you can still get there. So just don't give up.
How do you make yourself get back on track when something goes wrong?
Honestly, sometimes I just need to take a break. I just need to take a day or so because I've had that before. I was trying to get someone to help me with PR for my book, and I couldn't get anyone because it was either someone was trying to scam me and I figured it out before I luckily gave them anything, or someone had a book that had similar themes, so it was in conflict with, them. And so I couldn't join the company because of that. So there's all of these things. And I just kept going, and I was able to find a way to get, the things that someone would be doing for me with publicity my own way. So I was able to get an article in the San Diego Union Tribune. I have a book signing coming up in San Diego. I've done I have a lot of these great things that are happening. But you just kind of have to pick yourself up and just find a way. So that's where it may not look like what you expected it to look like, but you just keep on trying and you can do that. And I even had one big PR person say, listen, what you're doing is what people hire other people to do, and they aren't able to accomplish it. And then you're out the money. Plus, they haven't even gotten you that article in a major newspaper, but you have already done that. So just keep doing what you're doing. So I think that's an important thing, is just to pick yourself up and keep going. And like I said, sometimes I need a break when I've had these setbacks. I just need to take a break and reset, and then I'll keep trying. I'm like the little turtle or the tortoise that keeps going. I think I'm a combination between the tortoise and the little engine that could. That's what I think of myself as.
Wow. What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
I think my story, honestly, because it's given people hope. That's what I have. Is I started to learn when I was in the hospital, because I'd have mothers show me off to other mothers who had kids that had cancer, because I'd go in to visit one of my roommates, and this mom of the roommate would say, oh, look at her, this is Joy, and she had cancer too, and look, now she has hair, and she'd show me off. And I could tell with that I was giving other people hope. I knew I was giving my roommate hope, that she could be on the other side too. And since then, I started a program where we bring kids who are sick and who have cancer to the park where they can get in the water to meet a dolphin. And the biggest part of that is not really meeting the dolphin, but is sharing my story, because all of these kids are being treated at Children's Hospital. And so one of the first things I say when I meet them is, hi, I know a lot of you are being treated at Children's Hospital. I was treated there too. And I go on to say that, now it's a lot longer. So I used to say, 10 years ago, I was treated at Children's Hospital and I had cancer, but now I get to work here at my dream job and I get to share it with you. So that is the most valuable thing I have. Nothing monetary, no, physical items. I'd say my book is the most valuable thing, because it gives people hope who are going through a difficult time. But I think that's what we can all give, is sharing our story and our experiences to help inspire others.
How is your roommate doing?
My roommate ended up passing away. I know. So my dream when I was in the hospital was to actually have her come to the park and get in the water with the dolphin. And I arranged it in my mind. So we were both laying in the hospital room together. And I distinctly remember just all these, just daydreaming about us being healthy and having hair, and then me being able to introduce her to a dolphin. And it was just like this reoccurring dream that I had. The goal is really what I wanted to do. And I set it up for her. And then something happened where the mom thought I was going to babysit, and I couldn't because I was working, and it was just confusion. It was okay. Miscommunication, it happens. And so it didn't happen that day. And then, time went on, and because they didn't live close, so it couldn't happen just any time. And then I remember getting a call, finding out that she had passed away from her mom. And I guess they had been trying to find me, but they lost my phone number. So she found it a few days after she passed away. And the way this program started that I have is because I couldn't let go of the dream, even though she was gone. I couldn't let go of it. And so I remember speaking to my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and I told him about this dream I had, because he said, I have a dream of doing this. What's your dream? And I wanted to think of anything else in the world but to tell him this, because I knew it couldn't happen. But I didn't have anything else because it was all that I could think about. So I told him this dream. And that's when he actually told me, hey, well, why can't you still make something happen? You can help other kids and hold an annual event where, kids from Children's Hospital come to the park and meet a dolphin. And so from that, because I kept talking about it and I really wanted to happen, something beautiful happened. We were able to start this program. It's been going on since 2008. It's on a break right now because of everything that's happening, but where we've been bringing kids from the hospital into the park to meet a dolphin. And, it's great. The kids have a moment of being free from everything and not feeling sick, just feeling normal. And the parents get to see their kids in a different light and they're happy. And, it's so wonderful. And I get to share how incredible the animals are with them. So, that's one of the most incredible things I think that I've done, is to give hope to other people.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I don't give up. That's it. I don't give up. Like I said, I just keep finding a way somehow. I think enlisting other people who can help you. I think when you put yourself out there and do what you want to do, even if it's messy, even if it's not exactly what you're looking for, you're going to find people that will guide you along the way. Now, if you just stayed in your house and you didn't put yourself out there, you're not going to find those guides that are going to help you. But I have found that when I put myself out there in those positions, that these guides just magically appear. Like, I was doing a Toastmaster competition and I was practicing, and then this older gentleman I met, he was not first of all, I didn't even speak, but he was not going to be impressed. He had been a judge. He'd been doing everything in Toastmasters. If you don't know about Toastmasters, it's where you speak. You practice your speaking abilities. And so they have this international speech contest, and I really wanted to do it. So I gave my speech, and during the speech, I could see him start to smile. And I thought, oh yeah, I've got him. Now he knows that I can give a good speech. And I remember going over there expecting for him to say something really nice to me. And he said, if I were a judge, I would have killed you on that speech. I'm like, but he saw enough of something in there for him to actually offer to help me. And this is something that I'm sure he doesn't do for everyone. And so he actually would meet with me, listen to my speeches again and again, give me advice. So because I put myself out there, and I don't think it was a bad speech, by the way, but he improved it. But because I put myself out there, I found a guide, and this guy just I didn't have to pay him or anything. He just wanted to help me, and he wanted me to succeed. And I really think when you put yourself out there, you're going to find those guides along the way.
What is the most valuable thing he told you?
Feel it from the heart. Because a lot of times when you're giving those speeches, especially for Toastmasters, if you're practicing again and again, I think it's for any speech, because you want to practice and get really good at it. But what can happen is that you start to not feel the speech, or what you don't feel what you're saying. You're just kind of acting it out almost. And so the important part is to feel those moments. Because when you feel it, then your audience will feel it too. And so that's been the most powerful thing that I've learned from him, is to do that, which can be really hard when you're nervous and you're up there speaking, and they also time it. So it's not like I have 1 million minutes to do this. I have 5 to 7 minutes to give a good speech and to win a competition. Yeah. So that's what his best advice was to feel it while you're up there, feel the emotions so that your audience can feel them too.
Let's talk about your book. Why did you write this book?
I wrote it because whenever someone who I know finds out that someone in their life has cancer, they always direct them to talk to me. And it just happens again and again because they know that I've made it through it. They know that I have a positive story. And so they will always want me to share it with these other people. And I was actually encouraged by Zig Ziglar, who is a famous motivational speaker. He passed away in 2012, but he's known around the world for his motivation. He's just inspirational. Really, I'm so happy that I got to meet him. I met him. And when I met him and I gave a speech in front of him, he actually told me afterwards that I should write a book. And so finally I started writing a book. But it took a lot of people kind of saying, you should write a book again. It took that kind of a thing in my life to for me to finally go, okay, I can do this. And so that's when I started writing the book and kind of putting down all of my stories, because it's a story of survival. It's, a rocky story of going through cancer. And I think what's important to me is also that when you're done with cancer, the doctors say, go back to normal life. But for me, I was bald and my muscles had atrophied, and I'd just been through a big battle for my life. I had PTSD, but I didn't know it. So going back to normal life wasn't going to work. Plus, I wasn't at my old job. I wasn't with the Dolphins anymore. I had just transitioned. I was in the middle of a life transition. So I talk about that and how it took me a while to get back on my feet, and then how I was able to get back on my feet and then go back to where I've been the happiest and then start a program there. So I kind of share that whole journey and then how I met the love of my life there. And now, after being told that we couldn't have kids, I have 2 kids now. So I think it's just a really positive story of, you can go through these difficult times, but there's hope, and there can be an even better life on the other side of this.
Where can we find your book, and how can we connect with you?
My book is on Amazon. So if you look up Joy, the story of a dolphin trainer, filmmaker, and cancer survivor, you'll find it there. And my website, you can contact me on that. It's joyclausensoto.com. So I'll spell it out for you. JoyClausen Soto, SOTO.com. If you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I'd love to communicate on there too.
Thank you. There will be more from Joy in a moment. If you are listening to this on a podcasting platform and you are encouraged by Joy's journey, please go to our website at onlinesuccessjourney.com. The site has tons of audio clips from hundreds of successful entrepreneurs' guests' journeys, all there to help you find a path to your own online success journey. The site offers exclusive members-only content, and you can join absolutely free and be part of this amazing online success community today. Check it out. That's onlinesuccessjourney.com. Now, Joy, I would like for you to share more with my audience if you are up for it.
Yes.
Thank you. What assurance or encouragement have you got for my audience who are not quite there yet?
We've all been there. It's all happened. You know what I love? I think a lot of people know the story. Actually, I didn't know it until I read it a couple years ago, but I think everyone worldwide knows Oprah. And what I didn't know until just in the last couple of years was that she was working at a TV station as an anchor, and she got fired as the anchor of that job. And she was devastated. We all have setbacks, even Oprah. And then that actually led to them offering her a job as a talk show host. And so that was what began the whole thing. So it was really someone who went through a failure, like an obstacle in her life, where that's what she thought she was going to be doing, and that's where she thought she should be. And then life just directed her in a different place. And look at what she's done and how many people she's been able to impact with her life, and as being a talk show host and everything else. It just led to so many wonderful things that it's really, what I would like to do is just give people light in this world. And man, has Oprah done that to an extreme. It's incredible. So, I mean, if you think about that she was fired from that job at first, and then was given a different one. It just shows you that if things may not be going well, but there's still something that could be there, and life is trying to direct you in a different way to something else where you're meant to be. And I think that happens to a lot of people. So just keep trying. Don't give up. You're going to get there someday.
If you are going to keep a note to yourself in your handbag every day, what would be written on it?
I just wrote it, actually. Don't give up, find a way. That's it. Don't give up, find a way.
What is your next chapter?
My next chapter? Well, that's what I'm developing right now. So I'm a speaker, but I'm just seeing what else I can do. I'd love to start some sort of a charity that helps connect businesses with hospitals. I'm really connected with Children's Hospital because I was treated there. So that's probably where I would focus. But I've found that so many people want to give back and want to do something. So they may have a successful business, but it may not be fulfilling to them because there's that other aspect of wanting to help people, and it makes you feel good to do something for someone else. And so if I can connect people with hospitals and find ways where they can do something to give back, whether it's once a year or in whatever capacity they can do, it's not just motivating for the people who own the business, but for the people who work at the business, it's motivating. We're all in this together. We're all souls here in this world. And if we can help other people out in some way, I think that that's a powerful thing.
Will you ever stop helping?
I mean, that's my goal, is to help. I really try to align myself with that and make sure that that's where I'm directed. That's what I'm doing. And I think as long as I keep focused on that's what I'll be able to do. That's my goal. Patience. That's what I want to do. I want to help people.
Thank you. Remind us how we can connect with you once more.
Sure. You can reach me on LinkedIn or on joyclausensoto.com, or you can get my book on Amazon, which is called Joy, the Story of a Dolphin Trainer, Filmmaker, and Cancer Survivor.
Joy, it's been great to have you here to share your success with us.
Great. It was so great talking to you. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Remember, success is a journey. Don't wait. Let's start the journey. Patience and joy.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to Patience and her guest, and want you to know there are hundreds of episodes available at onlinesuccessjourney.com. Patience would like to thank you for listening to the podcast, and she has a free gift for you on her website, including an audio compilation of her guests' best tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. Additionally, there are special clips of over 250 episodes that have never aired on the podcast, and they're only available to members of the Online Success Journey. Check the website and click on Join Now to get free and instant access. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite platform to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review the podcast at iTunes and other sites. We appreciate your help and your willingness to share your journey. One last thing. If you're feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed on your own journey, Patience can help. Check out her course on clarity while you're at the website. Finding clarity is a great way to get back on the right path. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.